My love of swimming, well, it's a hard love, I would say. I mean, on the one hand side, I'm pretty talented with cycling and running as well, I would say, and success in these disciplines always came natural to me. So you sort of expect the same for swimming as well, and it's just not like with cycling and running. With cycling, when I started triathlon, sometimes I didn't ride my bike for like 4 or 5 months during winter time, and then I did one camp in spring, and in the next race I had the best bike split. So but with swimming it's the complete opposite. I'm not in the pool for like 4 days, and I think I have to learn swimming from scratch on again. So it's pretty tough. But on the other hand, with something like that, success becomes really, really rewarding. So if I make any progress in swimming, it's like double the satisfaction than it is on running or cycling, because there I just take it for granted, for given. And in swimming it's definitely not the case. I have to work my ass off to even make the smallest progress, and so therefore that can also be really rewarding. Well, in the last probably 15 years I had so many plans how to close the gap to the first group, and I think one of the things is, I know if I have the chance like to be just 1 minute behind in the 70.3 to the top guys, and 2 minutes back from the top guys from the first group in a race like Kona, it's a game changer. I mean, let's take 70.3 World Championships in Nice last year. If I would have been able to swim just 1 minute behind the first pack, I think there would have still be a chance to be on the podium or even win the race, because it changes the strategy on the bike so much. And with the higher density of good athletes, there comes an even bigger effect of riding in a group. And yeah, of course you have that in the back of your mind, and you think like it must be possible to just like close it down to 1 minute. I mean, I'm not expecting to swim like one of the top guys like Skuman or Voss Louis or Jan. Just being able to close that a little bit, but it seems to be really, really tough for me. And I think I had a lot of good coaches in the past. One of the problems also always have been just to maintain a very good, very high workload for a very long time. So as soon as you hit spring, the first races come up, you start to get nervous about your cycling shape. You're gonna dial back the swimming a little bit, and then it's gonna be very difficult. So therefore, I think one of the things I learned is, in swimming you need a good coach, you need a good group, and you need to just maintain a very high volume, at least for me. I know some people are different, but for me that's just the case. Yeah. Motivation is for sure a really, really big problem. And I think when I have to say, motivation in cycling and running sometimes can be just because you love to ride. You know, we are about to go into a training camp in the Swiss Alps, or when we go to Fuerteventura or Livigno, wherever. Cycling is just fun, you know, and you need to ride hard to get up that mountain top or something like that. And it's the same with running. In swimming, it's very rarely the case, to be honest. Motivation just comes from pressure and fear of failure. Of course, is probably not the most positive thing, but to be honest, that's really the case. And also because you're basically training in a laboratory the whole time. So when I run or when I ride my bike, I know, well, there's some mountains, there's a different road, surface, what so on. You ride in a group, you ride alone, and so on. Of course, you have your power meter and whatsoever, but you can also just put that away. Or, you know, also running, I'm not concerned if I run like 4:30, 4:45 pace per K. I'm not getting nervous, but with swimming, you always have the exact same length of the pool. You have the clock always there, and even if I decide to, I don't want to look at the clock, at one point you're gonna sneak and look at the clock, and you're gonna see like, fuck, this is actually not really fast. And yeah, so therefore that's where the motivation is coming from, is usually from first knowing I have to get my ass off and get better in swimming, because that's what's standing between me and further success in the sport. And the others are developing fast, and if I'm not able to close that gap, there is no advantage on the bike anymore, and so therefore I won't be one of the guys that winning the race. And that's just the motivation, is fear from failure and pressure. Yeah, sure, I think it's quite interesting, because people always ask me about cycling or sometimes probably running, but I think I have the most experience and knowledge in swimming, because I've thought so much about things in swimming, and I have with cycling and running, I was never in the position to really search for advice from outside and so on. With swimming, I had a lot of coaches, and I worked with a lot of other people, and of course I looked at a lot of good athletes, so therefore I think my knowledge in swimming is actually quite good. For an amateur athlete, I think really the most important thing at the beginning is you need to have a good coach that teaches you the right technique, because in cycling you can always basically work yourself out of pretty much everything. Sometimes it's not important if you have a good technique or not. If you have enough willpower and if you do enough miles and enough intensity, you're gonna be there. In swimming, I've tried that. It's not working. For example, I did a test where you measure the force you can put down in a stroke. There's like a special measurement device where you can measure the force, and I've been within like the top 2 or 3% from the people they have measured on this on this platform. But the day later I'm doing a 1500 meter swim test, and the guy who is taking the split time stopped taking split times after 500 meters because it was so slow that he thought it doesn't really matter anymore if we have splits or not. So that's one of the things where you see swimming can be very complicated, therefore you need a coach. That's very important. And then I think a lot of people need to prioritize swimming. So for me, for a very long time, I was swimming with the swim squad, and the problem was I already done 3 sessions before I went to the swim club. And you know, I've done a run, a strength training and a bike ride, and then you're going to the swim training, you're totally exhausted. And that's very difficult to get better. So now it's more like, okay, we know like 3-4 sessions per week. That's gonna be the first session of the day. And it's not gonna be like at 6 in the morning or whatever. It needs to be where when you're focused, when you're ready to put down the effort. That's important. And yeah, then I think you need to do regular tests. I think that's one of the things I don't love, but the thing is, you need to put some stress on yourself to improve in swimming. And I think to constantly measure progress or not progress is something important. So to all those who are sitting in the same boat, and the boat is often more likely to sink than not. And if you are hating like the former swimmers moving into triathlon, just like me, swimming can be really rewarding if you make some progress. And so therefore I think it's really worth to work in the pool. And of course it's different than cycling and running, but that's what makes our sport interesting. I think that's one of the really great things in swimming is, of course, you see if you suck, but you also see if you make progress, and that's really nice.